I mean, I came into that talk really thinking that I was not going to be able to deliver any value, because we're talking about 120 dressed military folks. I've never spoken to a room full of military personnel in my life, and what is a dumb real estate guy going to be able to do to connect on their level? And the more I learned about what they're actually doing, and we spent that lunch and we got to hang out with some of the commanders there and realized that they're going through the same struggle as anybody that's building a small company, anybody that's in sales, anybody that's in a sales division, because what they're doing is recruiting people, selling people to come and join them, join the military, join the U.S. military. And I thought that they were very receptive to, my bold statement around sales skills being the absolute most important skill you can possess in America today. I mean, in fact, I said, listen, I think it's more important than your college degree. I think it's more important than your military experience, albeit I 100% am grateful and appreciate their service. I wouldn't even have the opportunity to do something ridiculous like this. But when you're going out there and building a brand in whatever it is, or trying to get a job in whatever you're doing, and if you don't possess the sales skills, the skills to articulate your value to someone who can buy or invest in your you are finished. And I don't care if you're in high school right now and your dream is to be a freaking nurse. You better be able to sell yourself in that job interview. A teacher, you better be able to sell yourself up against the 150 applicants that are going to be out there. It's a service industry. America's a service industry that includes, over 77%, it's like 75-77% of our industry here in America is service. You better be able to sell, and that's not going away, because that service part of our industry here in America, our GDP, is only growing, and it'll be the most important skill over the next 20 years, period, end of story.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my extreme honor to welcome Byron Lazine.
Thank you. I can grab this off of here, right?
Yep, got it.
Awesome. How you guys doing? I think it's pretty crazy for you guys to just bring an uneducated real estate guy in here to talk about daily habits, but I appreciate the opportunity to speak to you guys, and really want to just, before I even start, thank you all for your service. This is quite the opportunity for me. I've spoken in front of rooms of 5,000 plus, all the way down to high school kids, groups of 10. And I've, outside of the high school kids, I've never spoken to a group of military folks like yourself. It's usually real estate salespeople. So I'm really honored and thankful for this opportunity to speak to you guys. I want to, with your permission, so if I have all of your permission to go here, I'd like to go into a little bit of my story, because I'm assuming the 100 people sitting here, there's not one person that knows who the hell I am. Am I correct in that?
I know
right?
who you are.
Eric does. Eric did a little bit of homework, but do I have the permission to go into a little bit of my story so we can at least connect and you guys can get to know me a little bit? Does that make sense? Awesome. So I'm going to start kind of like right out of high school, right? And that's what I'm finding is really your demo, right? That person that's coming right out of high school. And when I was 19, I thought I knew absolutely everything, right? Like a typical 19, 18-year-old kid. And I probably, thinking back on it today, this was probably a place I should have gone at 18 or 19, because what happened to me was I made a ton of mistakes with that bravado that I had. So at 19 years old, I took a job at Electric Boat, which is a manufacturer of submarines. They have one client, and that's the U.S. Navy, right? So we built submarines there. Hated that. And so within about 6 months, I'm like, most people that hate their job, talking to the people I'm working with, how the heck do we get out of here? Like I was in jail or something, right? I'm the one that went there. And so I started to look at real estate and really think about how I could acquire real estate. I thought that was the way into wealth, right? It always starts with money. People are thinking about, I'll have happiness if I can get to the money. So at 19, this one out. At 19, I started buying real estate. Bought 3 homes, multifamily residences from 19 to 21, okay? Well, that was back during the last real estate peak, right? So bought these homes, didn't listen to my parents, didn't listen to any real estate professionals. I literally just went like a renegade buying up real estate. And that's a time when you could get loans like it was Skittles, right? They were giving out loans to anybody with a heartbeat, and I was taking them. So 19, 21, kid buying homes, people that I work with at Electric Boat are, and this might not be good today, and I'm not gonna get into politics, but people were like, hey, you're the mini Trump. And that like felt really good back then. It might not feel really good today, depending on which side of the fence you're on. But I had that momentum, and I was building the persona, which was extremely fake, that I was going to be a massive real estate investor, that I was going to acquire a ton of properties. If somebody was looking to sell a property, they were coming to me and asking if I wanted the deal. Fast forward to 2007, 2008, like the world falls apart, and I didn't have the experience or a plan on how to handle that, right? I never went through a market, because I started buying real estate at 19, a market recession and a peak and all that stuff. I was buying in a peak in bad areas. So when the world fell apart, yeah, I had tenants, but what happened to them? We're in bad areas, and unemployment during those years, if you remember correctly, went up over 10%. So what do you think happened to my tenants? They started losing jobs. I've got 4 mortgages at the time on 3 different properties, and I've got tenants not paying their monthly rent. Every single month, every single week, I'm trying to cover the nut on these mortgages, right? I'm at Electric Boat still, so I'm going down to Virginia, Norfolk, and Newport News, and I'm taking road jobs, working 7 days, 12-hour shifts, so that I could just make the mortgage payment week after week. Well, things start to catch up with you, especially when you're playing with that much fire. When you've got 4 mortgage payments and the balloons are coming quickly. Because all of these mortgage companies were calling their balloon mortgages so that, because they knew the writing was on the wall, everything's falling apart, they want their money. Right? I mean, I did some crazy shit to try to make ends meet. I can remember going to a Home Depot in Lisbon, Connecticut, with a U-Haul truck. And at the time, I had phenomenal credit. I mean, how do you think I bought 3 houses at 19, 20, and 21? I took my no-limit Home Depot credit card, and I said to Home Depot, I said, I've got a huge job right now. We've got a huge construction job. I need to buy all the sawzalls that you have, all of these expensive saws that were like $1,200 a pop. I said, how many you got? Oh, we got like 12. I'll take them all. I'll take them all. Just load them up. We got that big of a job. So I put it on the credit card, and I drive right over to Norwich, Connecticut, to a pawn dealer, and I say, give me a loan for 2 weeks, take the brand new saws, load them up, take my license, take all my information, and I went, took that money, and paid a mortgage payment. Worked, tried to get the money back, went back, got the saws, brought them back to Home Depot, and got it off the credit card on a return. They were pissed, by the way. Home Depot wasn't happy with that little plan that I came up with. But that's one of the deals that worked out for me in this struggle of trying to make ends meet, of trying to save my finances, trying to basically protect all the work and all the money that I had put into these homes, right? But eventually it just bottomed out. Lost absolutely everything, all 3 of the houses, the $250,000 of cash, because I was, when I say I was so dumb that I didn't know anything, I was putting in top-end finishes in rental properties in bad areas. So like when you do rental property, and I don't know this keeps cutting out, but I'll stay with it here. When you're buying rental property, you want to go rental grade finishes, right? You don't want to fix these places up. You don't want to be a slumlord, but you don't want to fix them up all the way to their highest potential, right? I just made every mistake I possibly could. Bought in bad locations, fixed them up way too much. Oh, let's try this one. Thank you. And so there I was, completely bankrupt. What's going to happen when you're bankrupt? Nobody is going to give you a mortgage at that point to go and buy more real estate. So my days of becoming a real estate investor, or maybe eventually a real estate developer, were completely over. And I was faced with the fact that I am now stuck to this 40-hour job, because they won't even give you overtime anymore, because they didn't have the contracts or the work or whatever that they were used to. They were actually talking about layoffs at the time at Electric Boat. And you realize that you hate the job that you're currently doing. You realize that every day when you go in, you have this pit in your stomach where you feel like you're gonna throw up, right? Have you guys been there before? You feel like you're gonna throw up. I think it's called anxiety or something like that. And nothing's coming out because you haven't even eaten. That's where I was every single day. So what did I do? I went back to money. I'm like, okay, money will solve the problem. My dad worked at a place, Millstone Nuclear Power Station. They were actually hiring 8 nuclear mechanics. That was the job title. Again, I only played sports in high school. I'm just a dumb real estate guy. But luckily, because of my father, out of 2,000 applicants, I get this job to be a nuclear mechanic at a power station, at a power plant. Why did I do it? More money, right? That's gonna solve my issues. I'm getting like a 40% increase in my annual wages, and there's unlimited overtime, right? So I can hit 6 figures automatically, 100, 110, 120 is not gonna be a problem working there. Within about 2 weeks, I realized I made the biggest mistake of my life. I absolutely hate the job, worse than building submarines. Talk about the pit in my stomach. It lasted for 3 years. I went into a phase of just complete depression, reliving every single experience and failure that I had made from 19 till my mid-20s. Just playing it over and over in my head. Well, what if I graduated high school 2 years later? Then the world would have already started falling apart. I wouldn't have been able to buy these houses, and my timing would have been perfect. I saw friends of mine that waited and saved their money through the high market that were my age, that were now up to 50, 60, 70 doors. They had 20 properties that they acquired on the cheap because they waited for the market. They were much smarter than I. They were in college when I was doing all this dumb shit, right? They waited it, they timed it perfect. And I had all this regret. All I had was playing it back in my head over and over again. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. So what do? Unemployment's 11%, 10%. You've got the golden ticket. I came in on December 31st. And on January 1st, they switched the pension program at Millstone. So I was the last person in, the last group in, on their retirement pension. Then they were switching to some 401k that everybody said was gonna be a bad deal, right? So I was the lucky one. There was 2,000 people that didn't get my seat. Never mind the pension. You gotta stay, right? My dad's been there hating his life for 35 years. Thankfully, he just retired a couple of years ago. He told me, by the way, you're gonna hate this. You will not like it. Didn't listen to him again. What do? What happens over time? It builds up, it builds up, it builds up, and I literally snapped. It was like 11:30 on a Tuesday. We're in a shutdown, so one of the plants are shut down. This is like when they need you the most. And I went up and I said, guys, I can't do this anymore. I literally quit right now. Like I've got to get out of here. I am suffocating. I am going to literally kill myself if I stay here. Like, that's where I was at mentally. One guy, this guy Scott Getman, supported me. He was like, dude, you gotta go, run. Everybody else is like, you're crazy. You're going insane. You've got the golden ticket. They gave me 2 weeks off paid to think about it. I'm not a complete idiot. I took the 2 weeks paid, and then I called them back and said, yeah, I still quit, right? So I did that without having my real estate license, without ever having really been in sales ever in my life. But I said, you know what? I love real estate. That's why I got into it in the first place. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna start to sell. I'm gonna sell real estate. Everybody's like, you really are going nuts, because where was the real estate market at that time? It was in the shitter. Nobody could sell their house. So you wanna leave a gimme automatic paycheck to go sell real estate when the only people that are having any success in my market in Connecticut are people that have done this 30 years, 25 years. You had 10, 15, 20-year real estate veterans that were gone, that got completely wiped out during those days. So I'm gonna figure it out, because I can't live with this inside of me anymore. I actually saw a video during that time, Eric Thomas. Anybody ever heard of Eric Thomas? No? He was talking to a classroom of kids, so I think it was college kids, I think, so freshmen in college. And he told this story about this guy who wanted to have massive success in his life. He's like, I want to make it, obviously probably thinking money first. I want to make all the money. And so he was telling this story to, we'll call him the guru, right? And the guru says, okay, you want to have success? Great. You want to make it? Great. Show up tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. at the beach, right? So this kid that wants to have success shows up at the beach, right? It's like, I'm ready to go. He's got the sports jacket, trying to play the part. That's what I'm doing today. I'm trying to play the part, by the way, with the sports jacket on. He's ready for success. Well, this guy, the guru, he's swimming in the ocean. He's doing laps at 5 a.m. He's like, hey, I'm over here. I'm on the beach. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to find out what it's going to take to be successful. He goes, yeah. Come over here. Come over to the water. He's like, well, he gets close. He gets to the water here. Got the nice shit on. I'm good. Come out here. You're going to show me how to be successful. The guru says, no. Come out here. Come into the water. The guy's like, oh, it's 5 in the morning. I'm already here, right? Come into the water. So he comes in. He's like up to his knees now. He's like, this is kind of crazy. It's 5 in the morning. I'm staying in the water. And so the guru says, no. Come a little further. Come a little further. So he gets out. Now the water's right here. It's on his chest. And the guru is like, right where you are, right? Just a little bit away. Come closer. I can't come closer. I'm gonna what? I'm gonna drown. And as he gets closer, the guru takes his head and pushes it under the water. And he holds him under the water. He holds him under the water. And when he lifts his head out, he says, what feeling did you have? He's like, well, I thought I was going to die. I thought you were a psychopath and you were killing me. Like, what feeling do you think I had? He says, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, that's when you'll be successful. I watched that video, had to have been 300 times. I watched it over and over and over and over and over again when I was going to get my real estate license. My back was to the wall. My wife paid for our wedding. Thankfully, I have someone who absolutely loves me. We got together when we were 17. She saved up all her money and paid for her wedding when I was bankrupt and didn't have a penny in the bank. Like, I know I got somebody that loves me when they do that shit, right? I had nothing. My back was to the wall. So yeah, I wanted to succeed as badly as I wanted to breathe. So my first year in real estate, I made the 6-figure salary back that I left at Millstone because I was running on freaking fumes. I was so jacked up from watching that video 300 times, having my back against the wall, having all those people at Millstone telling me you're never gonna make it, right? That's great motivation. People telling you you can't do something. But that only lasts for so long. It lasted about 12 months for me. Then I got that little bit of success. Okay, I'm good again. I'm back at the salary, right? And then what starts happening? You start to fall into routines. You start to fall into certain routines. Call them lazy routines, inconsistent routines, whatever they may be, right? I hadn't made it, but I was starting to get comfortable. I was starting to get my feet under me. I started to figure out that I was good at sales, and I probably should have done that when I was 18. I wish I either did something like this when I was 18, or I went and sold cars when I was 18. Man, either one of those would have taught me a lot. For sure. I really wish I did the car thing. I would have freaking crushed cars, right? So I've got my feet under me, and the first year I was waking up at 4 a.m. No problem. I'm up, I'm ready to go, I'm ready to prove people wrong. I had this sick momentum. Then, second year, I'm waking up at 5:30, 6:30, sometimes 7, right? Then you start to get some fancy clients and you're having martinis at night and it's like, I just woke up at 8:30, I can't even believe that, right? I've always woken up early, my whole life. So this momentum, I could start to feel it. But I remembered what happened when I had bad momentum, when I had that pit in my stomach. That momentum builds up too, right? Bad momentum builds up quick. That's a tough hill to climb back from, unless you have that breakdown moment. So I said, I got to catch this before it gets out of control. I can't start to build backwards momentum. I've come too far at this point. So there's a couple guys, I think we were sitting in Vegas or California, one of these real estate conferences, and I'm telling them this. I said, guys, when I came in this industry, I was jumping out of freaking bed. Anybody see that Mel Robbins 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 thing? No? Mel Robbins? That's a great video to check out if you're want to get up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, boom, you're up. I'm telling them my struggles. I can't even pull myself out of bed. I want to do it and all this kind of stuff. And I said, hey, would you guys, it was 2 other guys, I said, would you guys hold me accountable at 5 a.m. every single day? Let's just jump on a call and hold me accountable to waking up and accomplishing my dreams. Yeah, we got the same problem. Let's do it, right? So we started doing that. There's 3 of us. We wake up, hey, you up, yeah, right? Whatever. Then somebody else wants to get on our call. Okay, great. Then there was 10 people on the call. Then there was 20, and there was 30, and there was 40. We're okay, now we need to moderate this. We need to make it a thing, because you can't have 30, 40 people talking on a call at the same time if you want to make it 5 minutes and go jump into your routines. And that's been 3 years now. 3 years of waking up at 5 a.m. Now it's like a whole big community. Somebody's moderating every single day. There's a 5-minute message. It's turned into a podcast, the whole thing. But it was 5 minutes of my day where I couldn't let somebody else down. Right? Because if I'm holding my dreams, my ambitions, everything that I want in life inside internally, I'm fighting everything in my head. I'm fighting all the regret that I had. Man, imagine if I did it the right way the last 10 years. Imagine if I started a little bit later. Right? And then it's easy for me to say, you know what? I'll sleep in a little bit later. World's a scary place. My head's even a scarier place, by the way. And it just becomes easy. It becomes routine. It becomes momentum to start not doing everything that I'm supposed to be doing. And so having this group of people that I absolutely could not let down every single day was the spark to getting my morning right. Because I don't know about you guys, but for me, if I don't get my energy out, if I don't clear my brain, if I don't etch-a-sketch my brain, remember the little thing when you're a kid, the etch-a-sketcher, right? If I don't etch-a-sketch my brain in the morning, I can become a pretty bad dude during the day, right? Hey Byron, how you doing? I don't know, I'll go f*** myself, right? Don't want to talk to you, right? That's like my natural instinct. as opposed to being someone that's helpful, someone that's accepting, someone that wants to grow with others. And so for me, it starts in the morning. Can I get up and repeat the same process every single day? Take care of me first, invest in myself, and ultimately be selfish during my morning routine so that I have the ability to be selfless with the rest of the day. I don't care what you're selling. And by the way, sales in America today is the #1 skill you can have. It's the best thing you can have on your resume, by far. Better than a college degree, better than military experience, better than anything. If you can sell, what are we at, a 75% service industry in America today? That's our industry, service. It's called sales. You want to get a teaching job at a high school. You know how many applicants are up for one teaching? I don't know if any of you guys are married to a teacher. People go for a teaching job. There's hundreds of applicants for one position. You don't think you need to sell yourself to that principle that you're the right person? Wait till unemployment goes back to 8%. You don't think you need to sell yourself that you're the right person for the position for the next job? Sales is the most important position we have, the most important skill we have in America today. And it's not changing anytime soon. But the hardest thing about sales is we get told no over and over and over and over and over and over again. And it's never going to stop. In fact, these guys shared with me that you guys might sell somebody on your deal, and then 50% of the time, it doesn't even matter. How frustrating is that? 50% of the time, you did your job, you sold, you got them to sign, you got them ready to go, you got them jacked up, they want to be part of the culture, and then there's somebody like, nah, no, that's not gonna, we're not letting him in, we're not letting her in, they're not a fit. You're like, doing everything I'm supposed to be doing, right? That's frustrating. I'd be pissed, by the way. But here's the deal. All that means is I need to collect more no's. I need to collect more no's of people that don't want to be involved at all to get to all those yeses, right? Heck, if I get 1,000 yeses and 500 of them are going to be no anyways, I'm good with 500. It's a numbers game. But how do you get up every single day and get back on that horse when you know the no's are coming? When you know all this shit is coming? You've got to have something bigger than you that you're fighting for, some type of community that's going to hold you accountable, and then you've got to be accountable to yourself. You have to invest in yourself before you can ever invest in other people and get them to believe in your vision. If you don't take care of you first, you'll end up with that pit in your stomach, that shit resonates, and nobody's going to believe what it is that you're selling. I want to jump into some Q&A, guys, because I think that brings the most value. So with that, I'm gonna open it up to you guys, and we can get into, listen, we can get into anything that you guys want to do. Right? I'm an uneducated guy that had absolutely zero connections on the Connecticut shoreline, and I'm selling $1 million+ waterfront properties. Didn't have a silver spoon in my mouth. Dad was a nuclear mechanic at a power station for 30+ years. Mother was a hairdresser. Didn't walk into the real estate business with any connections, and in fact, started my business on the shoreline, which was 35 minutes from where the little cow town that I grew up in, okay? Figured out social media, figured out how to brand, figured out how to build community, how to connect with people, how to invest in myself, and how to attract the right people around me. So we can get into literally anything you want, even if it's a social media tactic, whatever you guys want to get into, morning routine stuff, whatever it is. And if it's in my lane of stuff that I might know a little something about, I'm happy to help. So let's jump into the Q&A and go from there.
I'm just gonna bring it out.
We'll give the mic so everyone can hear you.
I'll talk about it. We're good. I just have a question for you. So for when you started and you wanted to get into the community, to brand yourself and brand your company. But of course there's challenges. Like we all have challenges trying to get into certain schools and areas like that. How did you conquer that obstacle?
In the beginning?
Yes.
So, it's a great question, by the way. What I did was I looked around at what everybody else was doing, right? That's the first place you go. What's everyone else doing? They were advertising in the newspaper. I said, well, that, I don't have any money for that, right? And that's where all the 30-year vets and all that's what they were doing. So, there was this thing called Facebook. I looked at Facebook and I'm like, what can I do with this platform? It's free, I know that, but what can I actually do to get my name across? And I started producing a 15 to 20 minute show once a week. Okay? So a little bit longer form. I know a lot of times right now it's probably, especially with the demo that you guys are going after, it's going to be more like 15, 20, 25-second videos if you're looking at the high school demo. But I just started producing long-form content. But I did it every single week. I put it on my Google Calendar in perpetuity. It wasn't, hey, I'm going to record the show Monday, and then next week I'm going to try to figure it out and do it on Tuesday, and then if I've got time the following week on Friday, I'm going to do it. I put it on my calendar on Monday in perpetuity. On Google, you can just say it never ends. It's Monday at 11 a.m. and the deal never ends. Because if you want to stay relevant in any space, you better be in that space forever and always. You better be producing content where people are listening forever and always. And I really think about the 15, 20-minute show as the blueprint for everybody in here that does want to produce content, that does want to deliver their message to your target audience. Because if you just take the 15 to 20-minute message once a week, it's such a small investment of your time too, by the way. There are going to be 3 or 4 nuggets that you can pull out onto a place, like I think all of you guys right now should be thinking about TikTok. 100% be thinking about TikTok. And if you had a 15, 20-minute show that you pull a 15-second clip out of and put that on TikTok or Snapchat, right? That is now the entertainment, the content that kids are going to consume because it's a consumable little packaged piece, that powerful piece in your 15, 20-minute show. But the 15, 20-minute show might play a little bit more to the older demo, right? Maybe the parents of, maybe the uncles and the aunts of. But when you put out a 15-minute show every single week, you have the ability to have somebody write a blog on it, do the little packageable size pieces, and you start to build a brand over time. And so those first couple of years, people would be like, man, I see you everywhere. I see you all over the place. And I really was nowhere except in their newsfeed every single week, whether they watched a minute, 2 minutes, or 3 minutes. I now became the voice in those communities that I was working in. I got my first big development because 2 sisters of a developer saw me on YouTube. They had the same agent when they took the company over from their father already had this agent for about 5 years at the end of his run, and then they had brought the company through the next 20 years. So for 25 years, they had the same real estate agent for their new development. The sisters, in about the 18 months before I got this project, he only sold 1 house, and they were used to like 1 a month. What did he stop doing? He stopped innovating. He stopped seeing around the corner, right? He was still using the newspaper and not using social media. They said to the brother, you got to talk to this guy, at least have him in, right? Now what did I do? I used that show to now become word of mouth. The sister saw the show, told the brother, because they knew the struggles he was having, to then create my opportunity to get face-to-face. Social media, whether it's TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, IG, whatever it is, it's a gateway drug for me to get face-to-face with the end user. and then I can close them. But I've already built rapport. I've built rapport online, I've provided value, I've provided information, I've provided entertainment, and I'm already coming in as the recognizable voice. The only reason I even get asked to speak anywhere is because they're looking, a real estate company's looking for something, a new spark, and boom, there's the recognizable voice. He's producing content at scale every single week. I get asked every single week different questions, people all over the country. Because why? I'm producing content still at a weekly rate. I'm producing more content now than I was in the beginning because I saw how much it was working. And I want to lean more into that momentum even more and more. So I think that kind of answers it, but I would focus, if you just want a bullet point takeaway, focus on producing content every single week. Do not stop, and then start breaking it down as you have more time into more packageable, bite-sized pieces. Did we have the, I'll bring the mic over. Oh, here.
What's some content that you have done in the past that didn't work out for you well?
That didn't work out? None. None. Here's why I'll say that. I tried out a platform called Meerkat. Anybody ever hear of Meerkat? You have. Eric has. Look at that. So Meerkat was developed by these guys that then did House Party, and I think it's the same guys that did Musical.ly, and then Musical.ly became TikTok. Meerkat faded out like within 6 months. It was live streaming before Periscope and before Facebook did Facebook Live. So I'd sit there, I thought it was gonna be the next platform because I'm like, live video at your fingertips, this is obviously going to work. This is obviously, and it did. Live video took off. It just wasn't Meerkat's platform. But the reason I'll say that wasn't a failure is because the 6 months I spent from 10 p.m. till 2 a.m. meerkatting with literally just weirdos in their bedroom in any state, like that's kind of how it was going down on Meerkat, was because it gave me the skills to be effective on Facebook Live when Facebook Live popped. And it gave me the skills to be effective on Instagram stories. Right now, like Instagram story is absolutely my biggest platform, IGTV. It gave me the insight because it's all practice, right? If I don't do it and use it every single day, I'm not gonna get better at it. So every time I have a piece of content that flops just because maybe I didn't write the copy correctly, or I didn't use the right thumbnail, or maybe my delivery wasn't on point in the video, or whatever it may be, it's given me a little bit of insight to the next at-bat. I mean, we're only as good as our last at-bat, but I'm gonna keep getting back up to the plate. So whether it's a failure or not, or whether it didn't produce the outcome that I wanted, I'm gaining from that. And even if I still have people from that Meerkat community that are now connected with me on Instagram, on Facebook, right? Even if I have one more person off of that piece of content that flopped, that believes in what I'm doing, that likes the messaging, I have one more voice out there. In an internet world, it's a share, right? But when they're talking to their friends, that they can say, hey, you should check out Byron, you should check out what he's doing, right? I've got one more person out there, and one person matters, right? I don't care if you're getting one. In the beginning, you're gonna get one view on video. Like if you're not producing video right now, your first video's gonna get one view, and it's gonna be your mother, and she's gonna think you did a great job, and you're gonna be like, this sucks, I'm embarrassed, right? But then your mother's gonna tell somebody, and it just grows from there. You just gotta stay with it. I'm telling you, content is more about being consistent, especially in the beginning. Everybody falls off in their first 6 months because they're worried about the likes and the hearts. I gotta believe that this room right here doesn't give a fuck about likes and hearts, right? So why the fuck would you care if someone's giving it to you or not? Why would you care what they think? Just stay at it.
So I'm a new team leader. What would be your strategy to motivate people for all the no's that they're going to get?
For all the no's? Man, that's a really good question. Listen, I'll tell you right now, I'm spending all my time trying to figure out I'm trying to figure out how I can become more of an emotional leader. I've been told my whole life, man, you lack empathy if you even have any at all in your body. So I'm literally spending all my free time reading books like Dare to Lead, Brene Brown, like trying to tap into really, really smart EQ people. So this is something that I'm learning as well. But you know, my team right now, I've got about 20 people when we include the marketing team in that mix. And you know, some people have lost people, and right now we're certainly riding the momentum of gaining the right type of people. And everybody's coming from a different place. You know, everybody that's going to be on your team is going to have a different situation, and they're going to react differently to no's. And so the best way to do it is to have the empathy that I oftentimes lack, and use your stories, use the situations of when a no didn't derail you. Bring in people that have a lot of no's and failures to share. Share your failures with each other, with the team. If everybody's talking about their failures, they become a lot less scary. I had one of my biggest failures in real estate this year. Happened to me at the beginning of the year. Coming into January feeling good, right? It's gonna be a great year. It's gonna be our best year ever. And I had this listing, this farm in actually northeastern Connecticut, just under the Massachusetts border. And so this farm, I had been working this deal for about 4 or 5 years. I actually got the deal through producing content, got introduced to the farm owners, and they really liked my style, so they gave me the listing on their farm. And this is an interesting story, because that day that I lost this listing, I didn't do my morning routine. So I'm on the phone with the owner, and I just brought him an offer after 5 years. This was over $1 million, the asking price. And we were within $50,000 of full asking price. And he's been trying to sell for 5 years. And this is a real buyer with all the money. And he just wants a little bit something off the top. $50,000, nothing on this deal. Owner of the farm is like, Byron, I've told you every single day we've ever interacted over the last 5 years, I will not take a penny off my list price. And now you're coming to me with this bullshit? I'm like, Eric, it's been 5 years. Like, oh, I shouldn't have said Eric. I'm like, dude, it's been 5 years. Not a penny less. I got frustrated on that phone call, and my tone changed. You know when your tone changes, like you become an asshole? That's what happened to me. And he said, you know what? Why don't we just call it quits, right? And I said, yeah, I think you're right. I'll send you the cancellation paperwork. I had one of those days where, you know, I thought I was bigger than everything else. I said to my administrator, I said, send him cancellation paperwork. Less than 2 weeks later, he got full price. Brewery in Massachusetts found out about the deal that I brought him and said, nah, we'll pay you full price. We can use that property. He put an agent on that deal to replace me about 3 days before they paid full price. There was like a week in between. She takes the listing for 3 days, makes 150, 180 grand, 3 days of work, right? Share those stories with your team. Bring people in to share those types of stories, because that helps you say, you know what, there's still tomorrow, right? My goal, our mission statement with our real estate, with our sales team, it's to get better today than we were yesterday. I just want to wake up every single day and get a little bit better than I was yesterday. And so all I've got to do is look at the mistake that I made on that phone call, learn from it, and then tomorrow get a little bit better. You guys are all Massachusetts peeps. I mean, you guys got the freaking king of this shit. I'm a Giants fan. But that's Bill Belichick, right? Let's focus on today. Let's get a little bit better today. Let's improve today. Let's worry about this practice. Let's worry about this game. Let's worry about the next opponent. Let's worry about right now and how we can incrementally improve from our mistakes, from the no's. That was a good question. Anybody else? Yep.
How many listings do you carry at a time? And if you carry more than 5, how do you work them all with the same attitude as you would one person?
So we're carrying 65 listings. We're working with over 100 buyers at a time collectively on the team. They say the individual agent, when they get to 7 properties under contract means buyer found the house, they write a contract, there's like that 45, 60-day period before they can actually close on the deal. They say if you're an individual agent, when you get over 7 at one time, you start to go crazy and you start to miss things. You start to let things drop, whether it's talking to the mortgage lender or whoever. So one, for me, how I stay clear-minded is I've got to repeat that morning routine so I don't have a conversation like I did with the farm owner, right? I have got to stay. 3 years ago, I retired from doing shots. Now, I still drink whiskey. I just sip it out of a glass now. But I retired from doing shots. Are shots at night going to help me repeat my morning routine and get up at 4:30 every single day? No, they are not. Right? Is ESPN.com going to help me impact more people to become great real estate agents? No, it's not. Do I find myself all the time, even today, going to my bookmark on ESPN.com? I do. And then I go like this. I take my rubber band and I smack it on my wrist and I say, get back to what you're supposed to be doing. My calendar is filled with everything I'm supposed to be doing. My calendar's filled out for the next 15 months with time blocks of what I'm supposed to be doing each and every single day. When I'm supposed to be making calls and I find myself on ESPN.com, all I gotta do is snap, think about the nuclear power station, think about the pit in my stomach, think about if I wanna go back there, and then I jump back into my calls. And then the other part of that too is surround yourself with great people. Right? I mean, that's a big part of it. Surround yourself with great people, even if it's just an accountability group. You've got to share your goals. You've got to share your vision. You've got to share what you're working on with other people. You cannot hold it inside of you. That's a big one. Do not hold the shit inside of you. Let people know. I just got done in the end of August. I wanted to commit to 350 gym sessions in a 365-day period. I would have never done that if I wasn't making a post on Instagram every single day, sharing that journey with people. I would have and I did. I fell behind on it, and I started doing 2 days a week because people knew the end date. There was like hundreds and at some point thousands of people that knew that end date. So I would look like an idiot. I would not look like I'm somebody that follows through with what I say I'm gonna do if I didn't start doing the 2-a-days, if I didn't start doing whatever it took to complete the 350 gym sessions in a 365-day period. I don't even know what I was thinking when I said 350. I said, okay, well, you got Thanksgiving, I'll probably take that day off. Maybe I'll get sick just 2 days. Right? Like I had, again, thinking I could do it all, but I actually did complete it only because I was sharing that with the 1,400 people in the 5 a.m. community, everybody on my Instagram story. I was putting it out there over and over and over and over and over again. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And that makes you follow through.
How do you deal with like negative competition, or like people talking about your company or the way you do business?
That's a really good. So, I mean, I'm the kind of mindset that loves it. You know, like I prefer that. I guess some people could focus on it. I also don't do anything that the competition's doing. My father, earlier this year, he said, "How come your office is the only office in town that doesn't have all the listings on the windows? Like you go to the real estate offices, you can walk by and they've all got the listings in the windows." And I said, "Well, they're paying somebody to do that. It takes like a half a day. They're paying somebody to like," he goes, "I know, but it's like, it's so obvious. Somebody could walk by and walk in." I said, "Nobody's walking in to a real estate office in 2019. He goes, "But it's the simplest thing you can do. You can get your message out there. It's branding. You've got the glass. You've got this glass window already." And so then in, I don't know, May or June or whatever, the stats came out, the Real Trends stats came out, and we were #1, and all these other offices he had mentioned were 2 through whatever, however long the list goes, right? And so I sent him the list. I said, "Dad, this is why I don't put shit in the windows. Everybody that does is #2 or worse. I kind of like #1, right?" So I focus on myself and how I can get better every single day, and I just stay in that lane.
Hey, Byron, you know what I like about it? Is I like that they're focusing on you and not the people that they're trying to recruit. So think of it that way.
Yeah, I'm a believer in, listen, 20% of the room here right now thinks I'm a total freaking fraud and I'm a dink. It's just a numbers game. 20% of the room thinks that I'm an asshole. Great. Go tell your friends I'm an asshole. What are they going to do? They're going to look me up on Instagram and one of the 3 of them is going to follow me. Thank you. All right? You want to become the president of the United States? Just get 51 out of 100 people to like you. Or even less.
Last question.
Yeah.
So you work probably 7 properties at a time? Is that what you're saying? That's like
That's what they say is kind of like the, we'll go with that.
now, what does your desk look like? Is it organized in line? You kind of have everything spread out so you can see what's going on at all times?
I'm like compulsive of, like, the other night, my office at my house is this big walk-in cedar closet. It's, when I say it's a closet, it's like sounds kind of creepy, but it's like, I don't know, 150 square feet, so it's big enough to be an office. But anyway, I have one desk in there, and then I brought in, just like a week ago, I brought in a second desk because I wanted to have like a drop-off station of like my bag, and then I could take stuff out of my bag. I could like line that up here, do this, and then I could have my working desk, which is like really blank, and it's got my laptop and maybe just a couple of other things on it. So I'm moving stuff around my closet, my office, if you will, and then I find myself, like, my wife comes in at like 11 p.m. I usually always go to bed at like 9:30, 10. She's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm just doing this. I'm just like moving shit around, like compulsively moving shit around." I'm like, "Okay, you're right. This is totally insane." But I like order. I like things to be really neat. I like my inbox on my email to be 0. That kind of gets a little difficult right now, so I have some people helping me with that because I'm getting like 300 emails a day. I like my text messages to be at 0. In fact, I took all the notifications off my phone because those things bother the hell out of me.
So basically, you don't like that bunch of children's toys stacked up on your desk.
No, I don't like that. No, that was like the one reason I didn't want to have a kid, is because of all the plastic that now comes into your house. That freaked me out quite a bit. But that, listen, most people, the most successful people in sales are artists that either don't have a desk or their desk is got toys or whatever on it. Those are literally the most successful people in sales. So.
Byron, I have a question. So, military is an occupation where 20% of us remain for 20 years or longer. What are your thoughts on buyer remorse? You ever have come across that?
From which angle? So you're saying buyer remorse. You recruit somebody in, and now they have this. They bought your deal, and they're
They'll have a commitment for a particular length of time, and then they decide they want to get out.
So Byron, half of our job is bringing them in. So
and retaining them.
getting, and we have to retain talent as well. And so Tom Petrie is in charge of retaining talent. So how do you keep them? And we were talking about how do you engage with them when we're crossing several generations from Gen Z all the way to Gen X right now. And how do you engage each one of them and keep them engaged to, and we always talked about maybe it's your product. There's several ways to do it. We're just trying to figure all that out.
And they've already come in.
Correct.
Yeah. One thing I'll say before I get into my overall point on this is 20 years seems like a long time, but after 20 years, you're still young as f. Remind them of that. Like, you're gonna be 45, and like in real estate, the average agent is 58, 60 years old. You could be 45, get out of the military, and still have 13 years before you're even the average age in like, real estate sales position. But honestly, it's gonna come down, if you feel indebted, right, to that situation, it's gonna come down to the culture that you're providing. What are you doing on top of getting them into the door? Have you set up a 5 a.m. call community for the people that you recruit? Have you set up a monthly retreat for the people that you recruit, your past clients? The people that are gonna lift your brand, even if you're one of those people that wants to leave after 20 years and go on to do something else. All those relationships matter. So bringing them into the door and then waving at them for the next 20 years, that sure as f isn't gonna cut it. That word's gonna get out too. Hey, yeah, that guy, yeah, he'll recruit you and then he'll never talk to you again. And so you can't talk to everybody one-on-one every single day because you're not gonna have any time left. But you can build little communities within this community, whatever it is, calls, retreats. You've got to figure out how to scale that, but you need to emotionally connect with these people over the next 20 years. And those relationships will matter whether they leave, you leave, or you both leave someday.
Yeah, you nailed it on that one.
Finally, I was waiting to nail one of these things.
We have many clients every day that we talk to, and we usually get just the one shot. Do you have like a brain dump right before you meet somebody, so your sales pitch, even though you've said it 1,000 times,
Every day.
is going to be the first time that they hear it?
Yeah.
So you slow yourself down a little bit?
Yeah, we role play. We role play every single day, 9 a.m. We're role playing every single day. Sales scripts. I could go through a bunch of sales scripts right now, and they're not going to sound like sales scripts, but they're written down on paper, so I guess that makes it a script. Natural salespeople are saying, most of you guys, the really good recruiters in this room, you guys are saying the same things. You're using the right tone, saying the right things at times without even realizing it. If you practice those every single day before the big pitch, it just refines your skill. So I'm a big believer in practicing.
I just wanted to ask you about how you guys deal with ghosting. Like, as recruiters, we make contact every single day where people show interest. They might go meet you one time, they might go halfway through the process and then back out. And I'm sure the same thing happens in any kind of sales, whether it's real estate or car sales or any kind of sales. So I just want to know how you deal with ghosting. Are you like an annoying person, or what do you find successful with people that ghost you?
Yeah, I mean, we go with the model buy or die. So they're either going to buy from us or they're going to die first. No, we're going to follow up until they either buy or they die. right? So, yeah, we know the shit out of them. But here's the thing, right? You can't just keep beating them over the head with the same hammer. Okay, so are you just calling and texting, or are you dropping a video into their Snapchat? Are you doing the homework and taking the time to actually research where they're spending their time online? Are you sending them an instant message? Are you sending them an authentic video where you said, "Hi, Eric. It was nice to meet you the other day." So where they don't know it's a spam, where they don't think it's a spam message, you actually went and scaled the unscalable and said, "You know what? I got 100 dead leads. I'm going to sit here and send all 100 of them a video right now this afternoon." So relentless follow-up, and then once you figure out somebody isn't sellable, you can't sell the unsellable if they just do not want your product. So you've got to build a big enough pipeline where you've got more people to follow up with. We go with the 10 to 12 to 15 rule, generally speaking. That's kind of like when they're dead. Most of our great deals happen between 7 and 12 follow-ups. Although I've followed up with the marketing CMO rather of Mohegan Sun, followed up with him 26 times, and eventually he finally did pick up, and he's like, "All right, I've gotten all your messages, I've gotten your mail, I've gotten your video chats. Come over at 9 o'clock tomorrow night, and you can stay 15 minutes." I got that deal, right? So having a bigger pipeline, and the way you're going to scale that is producing a ton of content, getting more people aware of your message.
I was just curious about content itself. The words come up a lot, and I'm 25 years older than the people that I'm trying to speak with, so I have a hard time trying to make myself into that chameleon that's I need to think like with my 17-year-old brain. Does the content have to be? I know it has to be relevant, but like, what counts as content? I guess is really a good question.
What counts as content? Anything anybody's going to consume. And if I were you, knowing what you just said, if everyone didn't hear him, he's 25 years older. What's your name?
Sergeant Hunt.
Sergeant Hunt, 25 years older than the audience he's trying to speak to. I would urge you to spend over the next 7 to 10 days, spend 3 to 4 hours per day consuming content on TikTok. 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 It's an app store download. And literally you'll get sucked in anyways just off of their feed, and you'll go places you never even thought existed, and some of the stuff you won't even want, you'll be like, "Oh my gosh, is she 18 or is she 17 or 19, right?" There'll be some of that going on.
Do it on your personal phone.
Right? Do it on your and start to consume what is going on in this world, in this TikTok world. Start to internalize it. I'm not producing content on TikTok because my avatar, my end consumer is over 55 years old, right? I would be crushing TikTok right now if 18-year-old f***ers could buy houses. They can't. So I'd go on there and I'd figure out a way of how to be entertaining first. Even if it's just, there's a couple of like fun little viral games going on there. Your first video just might be including yourself into one of those, what do they call it? The barbecue, I don't even know what it is, some country dance they're all singing, right? Produce something that's funny and entertaining, but spend about 40 hours consuming so you know what you are capable of doing. I know for me, I'm capable of doing long form talk, podcast style content. It's very natural. I used to listen to sports talk radio growing up over music. If you ask me any music or movies, don't know it. If you ask me who Mike and the Mad Dog are, I can give you, all kinds of information on them, radio hosts. So that fits in naturally, as opposed to me trying to be like I'm on HGTV and like doing a listing tour of a house. Doesn't fit naturally with me. I'm not tall enough, I'm not good looking enough, like all that kind of stuff just not my style, right? So get into this world that these people are spending their time on, and figure out what your style is. It might be something that's funny, it might be something that's informational, and then just start testing it, play around with it.
So my question is, you're talking all this social media, so we have like policies on social media. So is this something, you know, the marketing guys, that we can go on TikTok and start posting videos of ourselves?
So we'll be coming out with, probably I'll talk about it a little bit, some changes we're gonna make to social media, how we're gonna handle that. But I mean, the short answer is yeah, but the longer answer is you're still a representative of the United States government. Correct. So, you know, it's some of the things.
And here, I mean, obviously, I don't know the legal logistics of any of that, right? And I don't know, I mean, this is serious shit, U.S. military, so I don't know that my tactic of asking for forgiveness would work in this instance. That's the advice I would have given you, like, just do it anyways and ask for forgiveness. But here's one thing that from the conversations I had, you know, we had when I got here, is that if you're sharing even an insight into your life, right, where it's not stuff that you know you shouldn't be sharing, but just the stuff that you're interested in. Maybe you're talking about sports every single day, right? Well, what happens? Now sports fans start to follow your content and they start to engage in your sports talk show, right? What you could do with a sports talk show that people are consuming every single week, you can basically now run an ad. Hey, this sports show is sponsored by your recruiting pitch, right? You can run ads against yourself if you're producing content against an audience. So stuff that you're interested in, stuff that comes natural to expand your audience so you have a word of mouth platform. If you're gonna do one-on-one meetings every single day, and they're gonna be a half hour, you're gonna meet about 16 people. Well, if you got even 116 people watching your show once a week, you have 100 more voices than those 16 people you can meet every single day that are now sitting at lunch, sharing your message on whatever platform it may be. They're now recruiting for you. So produce content at scale, let people know who you are, do not be a secret recruiter. Obviously stay within the guidelines, get a little gray on them if you can, and just do it.
Forgiven enough.
What's the one thing you hate most about your job?
I didn't hear the first part. What's the one thing that what?
What do you despise about your job?
Oh, that I hate about my job. Oh. Right now, I mean, I'm pretty lucky because, I get to wake up and remind myself every single day that I could be going into a submarine or a power plant. And so I'm pretty lucky in that sense. So I snap myself back into reality really quick. But within about the first 6 months, I figured out I hate buyers. Okay, like I walk through a house and in about 12 seconds, I've made a decision. It's a great house. But you got buyers, they'll walk in, they'll walk in and they'll be like, oh, we don't like the house. Oh, great, let's go to the next one. Well, we got to see the rest of the house, don't we? You just told me you didn't like it? Well, okay, we're going to see it. Oh, look at their linen, oh, these are nice carpets. Look at that hardwood. Now they're just like looking at family photos. Oh, do you think that was behind? Where do you think that was? Right? And they're sitting there chit-chatting. You're in the house for an hour. Drives me freaking nuts. I'm getting antsy. I'm like walking around. So I figured out really quickly I hate buyers. I don't work with buyers. I recruit people that love to work with buyers, that have passion about working with buyers. I stay on the listing side. All my buyers, I love you. If you see that, we're going to clip that part out. Right? So I focus on my strengths. The one weakness that I do have, I was talking about EQ, emotional intelligence, right? I know that's something I absolutely have to continue to work on. But tactical things that I don't like, I find someone better than me that enjoys doing them. I don't know if that's possible in this world. Is that possible? Anything's possible. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's got to be a scenario in here where you can dish off some of the things that you hate. Maybe it's the paperwork. Maybe somebody's great at paperwork. You do more of my paperwork, and I'll do more of the face-to-face. I don't know the logistics of all that, but if it's a tactical thing that you hate, I would try to find somebody who's really good at it, because focusing on your strengths is going to give you the ability to impact way more people with the time that you have. I hope I didn't fuck you on that last one, Eric, but I agree. You're welcome. Thank you.
Hey, we're gonna have you stay up here for a little bit.
Sure.
So one thing I forgot to tell you, there's a mute button right here. So every time you put your
Was
hand
I
down
hitting
there,
it?
you mute
Oh.
yourself up.
Got it.
That's my own thing. Hey, so there's a reason I liked you when we first started talking. My call sign, so we have these call signs, right? And for a commander, you have to be given a numeral. So 6 is as the commander, that's my call sign. And my call sign is Hustler 6. And I think I just found a fellow hustler on the other side. And so I'm proud to meet you. And I want to give you my coin,
Oh, man.
which also has an H6 on there. And this is just for going above and beyond and just saying, hey, thanks. So I want to say thank you.
Thank you.
And I appreciate everything you do.
Appreciate that.
Sergeant Major, where are you at? We got a little something else for you. I don't like microphone. Right? You drop that. So we gave you a little something here. This is, we're from Massachusetts. We're called the nation's first for a reason. Because we were the first rabble rousers when the Brits came in and they said, we want to take your and we said, well, not going to happen. So there was this guy named Captain John Parker in the Lexington Company, and he found out that 700 British regulars were coming to Concord to take our stuff, right? To take our ammunition, to take all of that. And John Parker took 77 of his fellow rabble rousers, and they stopped them short in Concord. They stood their ground, or stand your ground. And so we are outnumbered in some cases 10-1, just like John Parker was with our number one competitor. So we want to give you a little something from that day to say thank you, and maybe something that you can hang up on that 1,500 square foot closet that you have.
150 square foot closet.
150 and so we just want to say thank you, and it's a print from Stand Your Ground in Lexington.
Man,
Thank you.
thank you so much. Unbelievable. You guys are unbelievable. Thank you. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video all the way to the end. I really appreciate all your engagement, all your comments, and if you like this content, if you want to see more, please, I've got 2 videos linked up here, or hit the subscribe button so that you never miss a video again.